You are listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, and this is Breaking the Ice. I am back, everybody. Connor Cupen in the building after 2 hours of running the board on it and Maz in the midday. Now we get, in other words, the hockey segment of WMSC. Today I have a lovely guest on mic 3. We got Matteo Macolino in the building, returning after, I would say, like about a month off. But here he is now. He's back, rocking the Yankees hat, and it's yellow outside, guys. So how's it going, Matteo?
It's going good. Yeah, it's hazy out right now. It's a little spooky looking.
A little spooky looking is one way to put it. We are right now 2 games into the Stanley Cup final, and I, as the Panthers fan, am not feeling it, man. I'm not feeling it. It does not look good. So we're gonna jump right into being the first topic. But before we get into that being the first thing, so right now. Today, let me tell you about our journey this morning. So first off, to Aunt Maz, I had to go pick up Maz at his house to come here, and one of the streets were closed off. They've been doing construction on forever. It took me an extra 10 minutes to get to him. Then we get there, and Charlie's the only one close enough that has time to go to a bagel shop, then pull up here, right? So we get 4 bagels, and when he gets here, we did the first hour of the show. Then during the break, there's only 2 bagels. There's only 2 bagels. Or this might have happened right before the show started. It happened right before the show started. There's only 2 bagels. So this man either never got them or there was definitely a second bag that he left at Bagels Unlimited. What do you think?
I think he just left them at Bagels Unlimited.
I think he definitely left them at Bagels Unlimited. They're definitely sitting there. It was 2 cream cheese bagels that were left behind, which were definitely left in a second bag because, like, 4 bagels aren't fitting in one of those brown paper bags.
No, they're too small.
Not even a chance.
You guys like in a rush?
Oh, Maz and I had no time, but Charlie did have a time. But literally by the time we found out, the show just started. So like, first thing we got on air was like, "What happened, Charles?" With the dude, but I have the better show time, 2 to 4. They would be 12 to 2 as well, but I think 11 to 1 for that show is better because the hour break in between is so needed because like. I didn't eat, so I had to go eat something.
Yeah.
And I barely had enough time to even get back here because the walk and everything, so it's actually perfect that there's an hour gap in between. Sorry, guys. I had to steal an hour of your time, but it's okay. We get here at 11 a.m., and I leave about, like, 4:30. That's how it works every Wednesday. I live at the station and breathe at the station, and thankfully for this room right here, we can breathe comfortably, Mateo.
Yes.
Because outside right now, it's just yellow.
It's yellow. It's smoky. Smells like a nice campfire.
It does smell good, though. I'll be real. It does smell good, but it looks cool. Smells great. You can take great photos outside, but you probably don't want to.
I went to work yesterday around 5 o'clock, I would say, and the sun was like starting to go down a little around like 7, and it was like blood orange.
Just a red dot in the sky. It's like that right now.
Red People dot were out there taking pictures and everything. It was crazy.
My dad's in Florida right now, so he doesn't have to deal with this. But
lucky him.
Perfect time for me to go down there and catch Game 3 tonight, literally.
I mean, yeah, why not?
But outside of that, it's I think a lot of the Northeast is taken over by the smog right now. It smells great, just looks probably is bad for you, really bad for you. And so stay inside, everybody.
Yeah.
Stay inside. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's probably not the worst if you have to take quick walks here and there, but dude, I feel bad for all the workers who got to work outside right now, though.
Yeah,
all the construction workers. I saw them. They're literally all the animals too. I watched a bird fly by. I'm just thinking to myself, yo, he has no idea. This bird has no clue.
No clue.
I saw a deer too. I saw a deer. I'm like, where's this deer gonna go? It's just chilling there. Unfortunate.
Nope.
But at least the Stanley Cup Finals are in Vegas and Florida, 2 places that don't got to deal with what's going on right now. And let's just roll right into it. We're talking about Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. This game was actually competitive. It was legitimately not a bad game. And then the third period, Vegas blew the doors open. But the game itself had everything you could ask for as far as one team scores, then tied up. It was a good game. It was a genuinely good game from my perspective there, because you had first period. The first goal of the game Who would have had their money on Eric Stahl's shorthanded goal?
That was pretty insane, I think.
Who would have had their money on fourth line
He
shorty?
came out of nowhere, just stole the puck.
Like, shorthanded goal. The first goal of the Stanley Cup Finals was a shorthanded Eric Stahl goal. I guarantee, if anyone had a future on that, big payday. If anybody had a future on that, huge, huge payday. But Vegas came back. Jonathan Marchessault tied the game in that same period, which former Panther, so it all stings just even more because he was taken in that expansion draft. He's one of the original Vegas Golden Knights. Second period, Shea Theodore, goal for Vegas 10 minutes in. It's like, oh, God. But Anthony Duclair tied the game with like 11 seconds left in that period. And I felt pretty good going into the third until White Cloud scored, and I was like, come on. And then Mark Stone got a goal, and then a power play empty 6-on-4 goal. No, 6-on-4? Yeah, 6-on-4 for no, not 6-on-4.
No, it was
5-on-5.
It was an empty
power
netter.
play empty netter.
Yeah.
So it was 5-on-5, but no goalie for Florida. And Riley Smith was able to get that to score. So whatever. Good game overall, but sad ending. What'd you think about watching this game, Matteo?
I agree. Like, after the second period, it was such a close game. It was a very good game. But Vegas in the third just put the pedal to the metal and kind of didn't relent. They were getting shots off like every minute. They were doing really well, and I think that's why they won. Dude,
yeah, the defense of Vegas. Let's look at the numbers in this game. So goaltending numbers on both sides. Aiden Hill, phenomenal. Sergei Bobrovsky, not so phenomenal. He gave up only 4 goals, but that's a lot. And 870, he didn't play that great. Only on 33 shots faced. Aiden Hill faced more shots, allowed less than half as many goals. And he's been done great for them. First period was all defense. 9 shots from Florida, 7 shots from Vegas. But both teams got a goal in. And then after that, it was just like the next 2 periods were just filled with offensive opportunities. Both defenses could not clear. And Florida taking 46 minutes of penalties also.
That's probably what killed.
Dude, oh my goodness. 3 misconducts, 7 minor. So let's dive into how that all works.
And it was Kachuk mostly.
7 minor, that's 14 of them. And hold on, let me just do this little thing called. I think that might have done the job, man. Doing the job here. Someone is calling right now, but it's all right. We're gonna let that ring because that's just how we are.
All right, we got our first caller.
We got our first caller here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, and they're probably a Knights fan. But in reality, 46 minutes of penalties, so 7 for each minor. That's 14 minutes. So are the 3 misconducts 10 minutes each? How does this work? A misconduct is 10 minutes, I believe, right?
Yeah, but the misconducts kind of like canceled each other out because Vegas also got one at the same time.
Okay, so even though it says 18 penalty minutes for Vegas, they didn't actually get all 18 of those? It says Vegas had 18 penalty minutes, 4 of them being minor, which means 4 2-minute minors is 8 and then
minutes,
10 minutes for their misconduct.
Right.
So Florida's 46 penalty minutes. Let's math this out. So 7 minor, that's 14. And then where do the other 32 come from? The 3 misconducts? Or is there another minor missing? I don't even know. Can't even figure out how the math is going here. It says there's 11 penalties on Florida. 7 minor, 3 misconducts. So what's the other 1 penalty? Is there 8 minor?
I think I'm seeing...
CBS Sports,
trying to count right now.
CBS Sports, what's going on? Why can't you get me a clear answer? But 46 penalty minutes, yikes.
I'm on ESPN.
Vegas dropped
the same thing.
2 power play goals, if you want to count the last one too. 2 power play goals. There was just no shot here. So this was all Vegas in Game 1, and it was a sad way to start the series. But alas, it happened, and we move on to Game 2, which I guess we didn't move on, because Game 2, I'm watching this, right? And at first, Florida can't get offense going, but Vegas is not getting too much offense. They're getting their shots away. But it's 0-0, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. This is cool for the first 6 minutes, first 7 minutes of the game. Nothing. Vegas gets 1 power play, and Jonathan Marchessault makes Florida pay. I was like, all right. whatever. But this whole period, just Vegas played pretty solid, and Florida's offense was just average. They ended up coming alive with some shots later in the period, but it was pretty Vegas paced throughout the whole game. And then second goal, Alec Martinez snapper. It was just like Bobrovsky could not see straight. He's just allowing these goals are coming through, and he's just getting, I don't know what's the deal. Like, he missed a couple. He missed the first one was a power play, whatever. Second one was a shot. I feel like defenders were in his way, couldn't see the puck clearly. Alec Martinez scores, and after that period, I didn't want to give up yet, but I was feeling like, oh boy. Second period rolls around. Nicholas Roy scores 3 minutes in. I'm like, oh geez. Once Brett Howden scored the backhander, I turned the game off. Once it was 4-0, I turned it off.
I mean, Florida, it's not like their offense wasn't getting going. They had more shots than Vegas, I think.
That's the worst part. They had 23 shots. Vegas only had 7 shots in the second, and 2 of them were goals. Like, that cannot happen. That cannot happen. Sergei Bobrovsky got chased out of the net after that goal 4. Faced 13 shots, allowed 4 goals. So he saved 69% of his shots.
Right.
9 of 13 were saved, which is not a statistic you want to see. Not that Alex Lyon did any better. He did a little better, but he saved 12 of 15, which is still not a good statistic.
Yeah.
Where Aiden Hill saved 29 of 31, which is 31 shots is an average to face. So only allowing 2 goals is good. Genuinely great game from Aiden Hill yet again. Once it was 4-0, I turned it off. Third period, Lindell scored 14 seconds in, but then Marchessault scored like 2 minutes later. Michael Amadio made it 1-6, and then Kachuk scored a goal, and then Brett Howden scored a power play. It was just a mess. It was a mess for Florida, and Vegas had players. Marchessault, 3-point night. You had Amadio with 2 points. Carrier and Eichel both had 2 assists. Jack Eichel's 2 wins away from a Stanley Cup title.
I don't like the sound of that, to be honest.
Right? Like, what? No one would have ever... Imagine
Nope.
saying this back when he was in Buffalo. You'd never would have... Here it is, though. He's 2 wins away from being a champion. And Chandler Stevenson, 2 assists. You had 3 guys rocking with 2 pairs of assists. Brett Howden had 2 goals. Marchessault had 2 goals and an assist. And Amadio had a goal with an assist. A lot of multi-point performances there. And, like, Barbashev, 3 takeaways and 3 hits. Just doing it on the defensive side as well as getting an assist. These guys were doing everything. Kolsar, 4 hits. Roy, Smith, Howden, all 3 hits each. Riley Smith had 3 hits, a blocked shot, and 2 takeaways. Like, they're playing good on defense. On top of already... Even Jack Eichel had 2 takeaways and 2 giveaways, so they cancel each other out.
Yeah.
But, like... This whole team was playing great on both sides of the puck. I can't believe Florida got off as many shots as they did. It felt like Vegas only got off 28 shots and scored 7 goals, which is a terrible statistic if you're Florida, that you allowed 1 of every 4 shots into the goal.
It was, again, I mean, the Panthers just had way too many misconducts again, and their penalty minutes. I feel like, though, after the second period, they just kind of, I don't want to say gave up, but...
Vegas, Florida's always not winning the face-off battle, but they gave it close. But Vegas had 20 block shots to... Dude, oh my god. Florida could not get a single shot towards the goal.
No.
Bro, it was block after block after block after block, and 22 takeaways to Florida's 11. There was a clear dominance when it came to the physicality of putting your body in front. And how in the world are there 84 penalty minutes for the Florida Panthers and 64 for the Vegas Golden Knights?
I thought it was a mistake, but...
Dude,
I'm
what?
looking there because there were so many misconducts.
Keep talking real quick.
Yeah, I mean, like, the misconducts from Florida alone. Kachuk, Stahl, Nick Cousins.
Which Stahl, brother?
Eric.
Okay. Nick Cousins, man. Dude, I love this team so much, and it's really sad where they are, but I am genuinely... I said Cats in 6 last week, so I'm sticking to it, because it's still possible. Listen... Vegas lost 2 to start their Colorado series back in 2021, and then they won 4 straight. We're about to pull Vegas on Vegas. But
Hey,
pull Vegas.
It's happened
on
before.
Vegas.
It could happen with Florida.
It's happened before, and it could totally happen again.
There was a team earlier in the playoffs that was down 2-0, and they went on to win that series.
Let me think.
You know who I'm talking about.
Devils. That one was in 7. I'm fine if the Cats win in 7 as well. That's there's no problem with that. 3 of the next 4 games, if we play that many, will be in Sunrise, Florida.
Yes.
So there's no better chance for Florida now. They already done messed up in Vegas. But what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. As everybody says. So game 5 might be an L. No. Yes. But what happens in Vegas can't stay in Vegas. Because, I mean, maybe. But no. Because if we're going to win this series, there has to be games won in Vegas. That's literally, it's mathematically impossible.
You need a win in Vegas.
It's mathematically impossible. Vegas can win no games in Florida and still win the series. But when you have home ice, when you're not the home ice team, which Florida has not been.
And you can't win it all in Florida.
Yeah. You can't win it all in Florida. You literally have to win.
Or wait.
You can win all the games in Florida as long as you win Game 7.
Yeah.
But that's exactly how the Canes-Rangers series was last year. And the Rangers ended up pulling that one out. Think about that.
Or wait a minute. If Florida wins 4 straight, isn't that when?
That's just the series.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
And one of them being in Vegas. But they'll win the championship at Sunrise, yes.
Yeah.
That's the only chance they can win at home. But last year, the Hurricanes beat the Rangers 2-0 at home games. Rangers win both their home games. Canes win Game 5 at home. Rangers win Game 6 at home. And Game 7 is in Carolina, and the Rangers pull it off. I'm not trying to speak nothing into existence, but look. There's no way this Florida team is done, because now they're back home. They're back home. They'll be playing their next game soon. There's no better shot. If they win a single game in the Stanley Cup Finals, it will be the greatest season in Panthers history, because the only other time they made it to the finals in franchise history, they got swept. So the minute they win one game, it's already the greatest season this team has ever seen. And I'm confident they can get 1, because they're going to get 4. It all starts with number 19.
Got to keep that optimism, yeah.
It all starts with number 19. The greatest trade ever. Dude, Bill Zito should win GM of the Year. He's a candidate. He is a candidate. He could totally win it. So, now, I believe... Was I here with you when we went through the candidates for each award?
Yeah, we did that, me, you, and AJ.
We did do that, okay. Right. I do remember that. So now that they released the Hart, not McDavid's obviously everyone's winner pick, but do you believe they got the candidates correct? With Matthew Tkachuk and I believe it was David Pastrnak. How do you feel about those two guys being the other 2 Hart candidates?
Tkachuk, I agree with. Like, he's been insane this year. So that was a great trade for Florida. Pastrnak, I'm not a huge believer that he should have been a candidate, but I can see why.
Been the other 2 Hart candidates then?
Definitely Tkachuk and McDavid. And, I don't know, I got to think. Who do you think?
Pastrnak is, I think, a perfect idea because, other than that, it's Draisaitl.
Yeah, okay.
He had the second most points in the league by far, but I wonder, could you put, 2 good, he's not even the best player on his team. So how could he be the MVP if you're not even the best player on the team? You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's why McDavid's also there.
That's why McDavid's there. So I think they kept the candidates right. But I think, obviously, Connor McDavid will take the cake as he had 150 points this year.
I did like Kucherov this year, to be honest.
Kucherov is the 2019 NHL MVP as well.
Yeah.
The MVP, man, it's a great award. And Tkachuk being a finalist screams everything. Now, last week I did this, so now I'm going to give you the chance. The NHL All-Star teams. They release a first All-Star team and a second All-Star team every year. I want your picks for who those guys are going to be.
For the All-Star?
No. So you know how at the end of the year they do all NHL teams?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, or they call it first All-Star
team.
team.
Oh, okay. That's what I was
second
confused.
All-Star team. for whatever reason.
I thought you were talking about like the regular All-Star.
No, the All-Star game. Yeah, no.
That's why I was confused.
But who are your picks for first All-Star team this year?
Oh,
One
geez.
center, one left wing, one right wing, 2 D-men, and a goaltender. Best at each position in the NHL.
Oh, jeez. All right. Well, obviously, I think McDavid.
At the center, at the center position. That makes the most sense to me. Now,
I was a big fan of Jason Robertson this year.
Jason Robertson as a left winger
Yeah.
over Kachuk.
I don't know. I thought he kind of stood out to me this year. I like Jason Robertson.
Okay. And then right wing.
Right wing, let me think.
I think, so here's how I think it's going to go, right? I'll let you go first, but I'll tell after. So, the top 2 I see here are Kucherov and Pasternak.
Yeah, okay.
So which one of those 2?
Kucherov, I
Kucherov?
think. Yeah.
Right. I think since the Hart Trophy candidates are literally Kachuk, Pasternak, McDavid, it's those 3. Because they just fit.
Yeah, I could see
And
how
the
you
second
get
team
to
being
that.
Draisaitl, Kucherov, Robertson. 1, 2, 3, boom, boom, boom. And the D-men. Who are the 4 best D-men in this league this past season? Norris candidates are Erik Karlsson, Cale Makar, and Adam Fox. I feel like those 3 got to be in there.
Erik Karlsson, 100%.
Well, we dropped 100 points. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
why.
As a D-man, you can't. For first team, though, I'm trying to think, like...
First team, Erik Karlsson and Adam Fox.
Adam Fox, probably. I mean, you could argue he didn't have the best playoffs, but... It doesn't
Sadly,
matter
it's a
when
regular
you're...
season award,
yeah, it's only regular season, so...
And then I believe Cale Makar, and then another D-man you could throw in there. Are you feeling Quinn Hughes, Josh Morrissey, Dougie Hamilton?
See, I wanted to say Dougie, but I didn't want to be like that guy because I'm a Devils fan. But I really think he had a great season this year.
But offensively, is he good defensively? Is he an all-star defenseman defensively?
Defensively, if we're going strictly on defense, no.
I know he had a great offensive
He
season.
was great offensively, but yeah, he
these
could
kinds
have
of things,
been.
we're looking for both sides of the puck here.
He could have been better defensively, I think.
Of course, we're looking for both sides of the puck on this type of
Yeah.
situation now. So, it's some of those are the interesting things, and Josh Morrissey wins for me just because he had a great year at both sides of the puck. 60 assists is a lot.
Yeah,
2 best goaltenders. 1, 2. What you got?
I did like Shesterkin this year.
Interesting.
Unfortunately, he was good.
Number 1.
Not as number 1, no.
Who's number 1 and number 2?
Number 1, I'm gonna go Campbell.
Jack Campbell.
Yeah.
Are you thinking of someone else, bro? You got to be thinking of someone else, right?
Why you say that?
Because Jack Campbell had only 34 starts.
Oh, wait, yeah.
No, he only had 34. So hold on 1 sec. And he only slashed an 888 save percentage also.
That
So hold on.
I'm looking at the ESPN stats, and yeah, it's...
You're looking at his playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I made the mistake there.
Okay.
My bad.
His playoff stats.
My bad, everyone.
Because he do good for Edmonton playoff time, but his regular season stats, yeah, nah, fam.
Of course, Olmark.
Linus Ullmark
I mean...
had the worst playoffs, but had a great regular season.
He was, yeah. You can't argue against him in the regular season.
And then goalie number 2, Ilya Sorokin.
Sorokin, yeah.
He might even be better than Ullmark. Ullmark is a platoon. He only played 49 games. Like, he didn't...
They switched him a lot with Swayman, right?
Yeah, Swayman.
Yeah.
They platoon. But Sorokin and Hellebuck are like... Those guys were legitimately...
Hellebuck was insane, I think, this year,
legitimately
too.
legitimately played 60 games each. Those are like your rock goaltenders.
It's also rare to have, like, a good American goalie, too.
Yeah.
So Hellebuck.
Now, so those are 2 interesting things there. We'll take a quick break here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. But when we come back, we're going to get into the Stanley Cup Final and the rest of the games for the week, and we'll see what we pick for some winners, so stay tuned. And we are back here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. This is Breaking the Ice. I'm back in action here with Matteo Macolino by my side, and we're going to get right into one thing and one thing only, the Stanley Cup Finals. Matteo, I got a question for you. So, I'm going to give you a little bit of a, without looking, I'm just going to quiz you a little bit on the Stanley Cup Final and the Stanley Cup playoffs right now between these two teams. See what you think you can know about these two squads. Who do you think? All right, this might be easy.
I'm not prepared for this pop quiz.
Who's leading the Florida Panthers in points in the playoffs?
I would assume Kachuk is, but
Yes,
if that's
sir.
wrong, okay.
And who's leading Vegas? Who do you think is leading Vegas in points?
Vegas?
Who do you think leading Vegas? The Vegas Golden Knights in points in these playoffs.
I want to say Eichel, but...
It is Jack Eichel, yes.
All right.
And now, who do you think has more between Eichel and Kachuk?
Kachuk, for sure.
They're tied at 22 points.
All right, okay.
So that was a trick question in a way. But yeah, they have 22 points each. Incredible. Now, who do you think leads Vegas in goals?
Is it Marchessault?
It is. He got 12
Okay.
of them. And Kachuk leads Florida in goals, assists, points, and plus minus.
Of course.
And so, yeah. So Vegas, Marchessault leads in goals and plus minus, and Eichel has assists and total point production. Surprisingly enough, Florida, I believe, scores. So I'm reading something's definitely wrong here because it's saying that Vegas allows more goals or allows less goals and scores more goals than Florida. Yet Florida's somehow ranked higher on goals scored. So I don't even know what that's about.
Yeah,
But
that doesn't make sense.
It's some really weird stuff going on when I read that there. Florida Vegas Game 3 Thursday June 8th. Starting goaltenders most likely Aiden Hill and Sergei Bobrovsky. How do you think this one's gonna go?
I think Florida gets their game back, and I think they pull one out here. They're a little down, obviously being 2 games, but this is the time they're going to be in Florida. They're going to have their fans. I think this is the game that they will win.
I feel like you're correct, sir, because no better chance to try and turn the tides when you're at home. Home ice is real. It's a real thing, especially when the fans are popping out. And the Florida fans have been doing God's work recently, and I'm ready for it. Eetu Loistorinen is still injured. He has not played since the Carolina series, so that's a big beast. That's a third line winger right there. And Florida's third line is like an extra top 6. Like it's not like Florida has a top 6 and a bottom 6. They really have a top 9 and then the fourth line. That's how the team's been the past couple years. Like Sam Reinhart is on their third line. Like it's not like you know what I mean? They have top 6 and the bottom 6. That's what you call an offense.
Exactly.
So with that game being like Kachuk is second line. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Golden Knights, Florida Panthers, Game 3. We're going to steer away here now because we'll come back with some more Stanley Cup Finals talk, but there's a lot of news regarding other teams in this league. It's sad that AJ Chasen cannot be here right now because we're about to get into some Pittsburgh Penguins talk. Last week I brought up how Kyle Dubas was fired by the Toronto Maple Leafs, and you won't guess who's now hired him. The Pittsburgh Penguins have hired Kyle Dubas as the president of hockey operations. He can't believe it. We can't believe it. Matteo, what does this mean for the Penguins?
Unfortunately, this is a great move for the Penguins, I think.
Why is it unfortunate?
I just don't like to see them succeed.
Oh, is that your least favorite team?
They're not my least favorite, but they're up there. I would say top 3.
We'll definitely get into those top 3 later. So what does this do for the the Pittsburgh Penguins?
I mean, it's a great move. I think now because they're middle of the pack right now for the draft.
Yeah, they are draft already passed, right? Yeah, so
Yeah.
no, the draft didn't pass. What am I saying?
No, but like the
draft
order,
lottery passed.
yeah, the lottery. But yeah, I think he'll do a good job. He'll get them prepared for next season. He'll make some good signings, I think.
Let me see if I can find the draft order. Where is the lottery order?
I think they're like 16th, 14th, or 16th.
Why can I not find it? I swear it didn't happen too long ago, right?
It was like a month.
It was a month ago?
I think so, yeah.
No way. It's been a month since the draft order.
A few weeks at least.
When did all the Bedard memes come out? That was like, oh my god.
The last time I was on the show, I think. That was
here we go.
within the week.
Here's the lottery. Pittsburgh's 14th.
14th, yeah.
It was a month ago? I can't believe that.
I know,
Dude,
right?
What? We were still in
This is
school?
crazy. That's what I was saying. Like, I think it was that long ago.
I cannot believe that we were still in school when the draft lottery dropped. Anyway, so Pittsburgh has pick 14, and again, restate to the fans, what does this Kyle Dubas signing do for them? Where does this move the needle?
I don't know. Like, I'm trying to.
Well,
what do you think?
He made great moves out there in Toronto. Certainly
That's
wasn't
true.
his
No,
fault
yeah.
that they lost
I
those
mean,
games. Like, I feel like he's just a scapegoat. He was the blame goat.
Not his fault that Toronto's cursed, but I mean,
Not
they
his
did
fault that
consistently make the playoffs, and I mean, it's not like the Penguins didn't make the playoffs every year, but
I mean, yeah.
he'll continue that for them, I think.
He's going to be the interim GM until they decide to hire one or not. They're going to test him out as president and GM, and then by July, I think they're going to figure out if they want a real one or not. How do you feel about a guy having multiple jobs?
I don't know. I think they'll keep him, actually. Even though he's the interim, I think he'll have a pretty successful season, and they'll keep him. Because you got to keep in mind, he's also pretty young for a GM. Like
He's not even 4.
Yeah,
he's 40?
he's 37.
Okay.
So
Joe Thornton's older than him?
exactly.
And like Chara's older than him. Joe Pavelski's his
Pavelski.
Okay. Well, that's one way to look at it.
Exactly. Like the fact that he's had a lot of success, I think, with the Maple Leafs, and he's this young, I think that he'll just keep improving. Especially now with a team like Pittsburgh, like, yeah, they weren't the best this year, but they still have the talent there. They have a couple young guys, I think, that'll break out.
AJ's excited about this one. I'll definitely, next time he's on here, we're talking about it with him. What does this mean for his team? This is for a GM continues, because they don't have that yet, but we're going to test it out with him there. Next one up here, we got an injury. Patrick Kane is going to have hip resurfacing surgery, and he's going to be out 4 to 6 months. That's putting Patrick Kane out into legitimately possibly Christmas.
Yeah.
What does this mean for Kane and where he's a free agent, correct?
Yeah, the Rangers only signed him for the
now,
rest.
does he sit out this season, or like what's the deal? Does he get signed before the regular season starts? Does he sign midway through the season?
See, I'm not sure. I never played hockey. I just watch hockey. I don't know how.
Same. Bro. I can't even skate.
I don't know how exactly. The same with me. I don't know how difficult it is to like sit out a season and then just come back the next season as if like nothing happened. I know that happens in like the NFL a lot or like baseball, but hockey's just so fast paced and there's like so much movement around. I don't know if you can just sit out a whole year and then come back and try and be successful. I wouldn't say he should retire because I still think he has like a few years left in him, but I mean, yeah, 4 to 6 months, that's kind of killer for him.
Yeah, that's a lot there. 4 to 6 months. But, the Rangers maybe... Should they have ever made that trade?
I think at the time it looked good because they were still making their playoff push. Well, they were in the playoffs, but they're still trying for like a higher seed and everything. Yeah. And Kane, even though he wasn't successful right off the bat, but he really didn't perform that well, I think, in the playoffs for the Rangers. So I don't want to say it was a waste, but it could have been better.
Okay, now, speaking of the Rangers, I'm sure they're one of the top 3 teams you dislike. Are they? Are they in the top
Yes,
three?
that would be correct.
So now let's get back to those top 3 Mateo's most hated teams. So, you mentioned the Penguins are up there. I want you to rank them and then give me the reasons why. So go from 3 down. Let's start with 3. Which team is number 3?
3 would be Pittsburgh, I would say.
Know. Why is Pittsburgh on the list, and what makes them the third worst team in your eyes?
Obviously, this list, I guess, is just all bias as a Devils fan.
It's all biased. Well, it's your personal list, so of course it's biased.
I just, in my years of growing up watching hockey, like, Pittsburgh has just always been super successful, especially when watching the Devils just, like, they were just always garbage. So I guess you could say I was jealous, but, like, Pittsburgh, just the Stanley Cups they won that I saw, just making the playoffs every year. So it could just be jealousy, but yeah, Pittsburgh I was never really a big fan of.
So, what's number 2 on said list here? Give me one sec. Let me give you a nice little... I know there's a drum roll sound effect in here. I'm going to see if I can find it for you, because I know it exists. And there it is.
Number 2 would be...
Number 2.
Philly.
The Philadelphia Flyers. Okay. Let's hear about it. What makes... My friend Max said the Flyers were actually his number 1 hated team.
His number 1.
He's also a Devils fan.
Yes. I just, once again, personal bias, I really don't...
Well, yeah, this whole thing is personal.
I don't like any Philadelphia sports teams, if I'm being honest. And like the
so
city.
because they're the Flyers or just because they're
It's
from
a little
Philadelphia?
mix of both. Like, Philly, in terms of sports, is just garbage, I think.
Just garbage. Dude, half of the kids that go to our school...
Yeah, I know. I've gotten into
So
a couple
you know
arguments with some of them.
So, you better hope everyone in the WMSC sports chat's not listening right now, because
I know.
best believe...
Putting a target on my back right now.
Best believe the target is on the... This is the Instagram clip right here.
Yeah.
I found it.
But
Keep rolling through.
But no, yeah, I'm very excited to see them during the Stadium Series.
It's true, they just released the Stadium Series games. We can get into that as well later.
Yes. But yeah, just Philly I've never liked. Even though, like, they've kind of been, I guess you could consider them the second closest rival to the Devils under New York. So it's just that rivalry again that's just had me grow to hate them. And that's my reasoning.
Pittsburgh is number 3 and Philadelphia is number 2, I can only guess who number 1 is. The number 1 team Matteo dislikes.
I mean, the Rangers.
The New York Rangers. Could anybody have seen this one coming? Now explain to me why that is.
I mean, what is there to explain, really? They're the Rangers. Like,
the Hudson River rivalry.
Hudson River rivalry. Just growing up, my town, like my school, both middle school and high school, was very divided in terms of Devils fans and Rangers fans. So there was just always that own rivalry within it every time the NHL season would go through. And it was just, those were always my favorite games to watch, and it was always so heartbreaking when the Devils would lose. It was always so, like, exciting when they would win. I was actually at Game 6 in 2012, Rangers-Devils in the ECF.
Okay.
That's, like, one of my favorite memories, like, ever.
Favorite memories
of my life. So it's just because of how big that rivalry is and how big it's grown. And, like, yeah, it's just every time now the Rangers succeed, like, especially last year, I couldn't stand them last year. It was a rough year because Devils were, like, a bottom 3 team, and then you see the Rangers out of nowhere.
Oh, last year was in 2020. Yeah, 2022. Yeah. Got it.
Rangers just make the playoffs out of nowhere and actually do well. But this year, I mean, we got our revenge, so
it was more than revenge.
It was great.
That's all you could ask for.
Yeah, exactly.
That's almost all you could ask for if it wasn't for Carolina. But we took care of them for you, so it's all good. Now, Florida can beat Vegas to be fantastic. So now, flipping gears, what's your... If you had a second team to pick in the NHL, if you had to pick a second team, second favorite, who would it be?
A second favorite team?
If you had to pick a second team, if the Devils relocated to Albuquerque...
I do like some West Coast teams, I'll be honest. or like Western Conference teams.
Like if the Devils relocated, if they relocated to Brooklyn and became the New York Devils, would you still support them as your number one team?
I mean, yeah, like
Okay.
because it's the same team. Yeah, they relocated. That wouldn't.
If they went to San Jose, if they went to let's think, Atlanta.
Yeah, like I said, even if they relocate to like
Philadelphia. If the Flyers and Devils switched,
just swapped. Oh, that would be rough. I don't know. That would take a little more thinking. Like, I think if the name stays, and like the brand is the same.
Okay.
I think so. Like the colors are the same. They don't like if they are still like the Philadelphia Devils, but they were like the orange and the black. that would get me a little upset. But if the whole brand just stayed, then
Or if it
I
was
think
the New
I
Jersey
could.
Flyers and the Philadelphia Devils.
I think I can manage.
Okay. All right. So if you had to pick a second team though in this league,
I like Dallas a lot, to be honest.
No, I don't think anyone dislikes Dallas. Dallas is a very likable team. Jason Robertson's a likable guy.
Yeah, I like Pete DeBoer. Obviously, I think he's doing great over there. I always liked him.
If I had to pick a second team, man. Not Tampa Bay, because that's the ops.
I don't think you
That's
could.
the
Yeah,
ops right there.
are they in your top three hated?
They're
I would
number
assume
1, 2, and 3. Man.
they're 1, 2, and 3. Okay.
Like outside of them, I don't hate nobody from the like. What am I gonna do hating Montreal for? Honestly,
Yeah.
I just feel like Carolina would be number 2 for me. So which is really cool they got this Eastern Conference Finals done because back in 2021 when I started getting back into the NHL, I watched hockey 2014-15 right all the way through 2015-16 when the Panthers won the division, then lost to the Islanders in the first round and crushed me, right?
Yeah.
I swear I didn't watch hockey after that for 4 years. I think the entire time I was in high school, I didn't watch the Panthers. Stopped watching. I watched hardcore in middle school. Freshman year of college rolled around, and I got right back into where it was.
This is like the perfect time to get back into it too.
Oh, dude, I love
Even
that.
last
I
season,
love
yeah,
that, bro.
even last season, like didn't work out for them in the playoffs, but they got the President's Trophy.
Dude, so I stopped watching for a few years because, like, I just feel like this. I kept up with the record and like scores of the games, but I really didn't keep up for nothing else. I was a Panthers fan still. Don't get me wrong, but if you asked me to name the roster or not, it wasn't happening.
Right.
Some of the guys I could definitely do it, not the whole roster. So now we move to high school. Whatever. 2020 was the year when 24 teams made the playoffs, and they were in that. And best believe I watched,
Of course.
but they didn't even make it out of those qualifying rounds, so that was trash. 2021, I'm like, we're going to get back into it. I learned the roster. They were a good team. They were second in the Atlantic Division. Or not the Atlantic Division. What was it called? The Central.
The
They were in
Central, yeah.
Division.
Oh, yeah, because that's when they switched up
So that
everything.
was the year we had the Canada Division.
Yep.
We had the West.
The East.
And I think it was East and Central.
Central, yeah.
North, West, East, Central.
They swapped, like, Buffalo joined with, like, all the New York, New Jersey, and Carolina joined all the Southern.
Carolina, so the Southern
Yeah.
Division, right? It was, and they only played those teams in the regular season.
Yep.
It was Florida, Tampa, Carolina. And Carolina was the one team that year Florida had problems beating.
Yep.
So that's why they were one of those teams I wanted to beat. Florida, Tampa, Carolina, and Dallas was in that division.
Yep.
I think St. Louis was in that division.
It was like the Southeast.
The Blues were in that division as well. There were 3 more teams, and tell me why I feel like Columbus was in that division.
I would believe it because I think Boston was in
they were
our
not
division.
In they were in that Northeast division.
The Atlantic and the Metro like switched a few teams.
switched
and
a
like
few. Like I'm trying to remember this. So right now, I'm trying to do this without looking it up because I want to prove to myself I know what I'm talking about.
I'm gonna look it up and then I'll see if you're right.
I know Florida was in there, Tampa was in there, Carolina, Dallas, St. Louis, right? Those 5 were part of that division. Am I correct?
Let's see right.
I know it was. I know Dallas because I remember playing those teams constantly. Nashville.
Right.
Nashville was also in that division.
Hang on.
Oh, St. Louis might not have been in there. I take back St. Louis. I'm thinking of Nashville. I'm thinking of the Preds. Unless St. Louis is also... Hold on. Yeah, you pull it
Okay,
up.
I got it. So the Central Division is what it was called.
I'm going to go through it. Florida, right?
Yes.
Tampa Bay.
Yes.
Dallas.
No.
What?
No.
There's no Dallas in there?
Nope. I'm on the NHL website, so
For the
no.
2021 playoffs?
Yeah. Oh, the playoffs. I thought you meant just the whole season.
Well, yeah, the 2021 NHL season.
Yeah, no, not Dallas.
Is it 2020, 2021 or 2021, 2022?
2020, 2021.
And Dallas is not in there?
The Central Division. Do you want me to list? Oh, there they are.
They're in there.
Yep.
Okay. Whew. I'm like, I know Dallas was in that division. So
Oh, yeah.
Florida,
Dallas.
Tampa, Dallas, Carolina,
Yes.
Nashville.
Yes.
That's 5.
Yep.
Columbus.
Yep.
They're in there. Okay.
Columbus.
Okay. Was St. Louis in there?
St. Louis was not. No.
Dang. Okay. So that's a Western team. There's 2 more teams. Columbus
Yes.
was one of them. Is Detroit in there?
Detroit is.
Okay. I do remember that now. And there's one more. And I'm trying to really use every brain cell to figure it out real quick. Because I got 7. Oh boy. Let's see. It was not Washington.
No.
It's not like Montreal. It's not no Canadian team because
No
Canada
Canadian,
was one
yeah.
division.
Canada had their own.
Canada had the division, West had the division. Okay, I have to run through the East in my head. Even Nashville was a Western team, so some of the Western teams came over for that division.
Nashville was in, yeah.
I said them already though.
Yeah, you did.
So 2 Western teams. Let me think of another one, dude.
It's
Like,
not a Western team.
It's the Eastern team, and Columbus and Detroit being 2 of them. So
Oh, no, it is a Western team.
it is
my
a
mistake.
Western Conference
Yes.
team, and it wasn't
It
St.
is.
Louis,
It was not St. Louis.
and it was still a Western Conference team.
Yes.
It ain't Chicago.
Yes, it was
It was
Chicago.
the
Yeah.
Blackhawks?
Yep.
I don't know.
Chicago.
I'm barely remembering them playing Chicago, but that was the Central Division that year, and so Carolina was the one team that struggled to beat. So come playoff time, who played Carolina in the playoffs first round? Florida played Tampa and lost in 6.
That year?
Yeah.
Let me check actually.
2021 NHL playoffs. Hold on. We're cracking this case right now. 2021 NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. Boom, I got it. Tampa winning the whole cup. Right?
Yep.
Come on now. Wait, this looks like last year's playoffs. I think I messed up. Hold on. What did I do? What did I do? No. What did I do here? I messed something up. It barely even working, bro. It's barely even working. Okay.
I got the bracket here if you
What's
want.
the bracket? Yeah. I can find it too. Don't worry. Let me find it as well. we're going. This is crazy. We're real
We're
efficient
going
today,
deep,
guys.
yeah.
Like Jesus, come on. Like why are we bad at this? All right, I have the bracket now. It took me 17 years to get it, but I got it.
Same here.
So Nashville played Carolina. Nashville made the playoffs, and they lost in 6. Florida, Tampa that year, man. It was unfortunate, bro. That was the year Tampa Bay got Nikita Kucherov back for just the playoff run.
Yeah.
So not fair.
Look how that worked out for them.
Oh, man. Don't even get me started, bro. Adding an MVP in the playoffs is just
Oh, yeah, that was the year Montreal made it.
in the West.
Yeah.
That was the greatest run ever. I'm so
I
bad they
know.
lost. I
That
wanted
was
them to win
insane.
so bad. You don't understand. Look, this Montreal team had more losses than wins.
And they still made it.
Keep in mind, it was a 56-game regular season, okay? So if you want to look at it that way, the 2021 Montreal Canadiens amassed a record of let me find it. I'm going to find it cuz I know it. I know it's here somewhere. I'm going to find it right now cuz they literally had, I'm telling you, it was a losing record. Montreal had 59 points. They had 24 wins.
Jeez.
A 24 and 32 Montreal Canadiens team was in the Stanley Cup final. 24-win team. But the Canada division was so weak that this was the fourth best team. 24 and 32. So they weren't even good in the regular season. They're taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs, who won the North Division at a record of 35 and 21. So, like, on an 82-game pace, they probably would have had a 50-win season. Really good. They're up 3-1, and they blow it. And it was fantastic. That was the best year of Toronto losing in the first round. That one. Because then afterwards, Montreal sweeps the Jets, who swept the Edmonton Oilers. Still really funny. And then they beat the Islanders and... No. I'm doing wrong.
Not Vegas.
So, Montreal and... Okay, this thing is backwards for some reason. But yes, Montreal takes on Vegas, and they beat Vegas, who was the number 1 team out west. The number 2 team out west, my mistake. But how they did it wasn't West versus East. So they just reseeded the 4 champions, right? From all the divisions.
Right. Yeah.
So they reseeded them 1 through 4. So it could have been Tampa versus Montreal. It could have been Tampa Islanders in the Cup final for all. It could have been anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Vegas was the best. Montreal was the worst. So they made that a conference final. And they made Tampa Islanders a conference final. Montreal wins. Tampa wins. Montreal-Tampa is so weird looking at it because it's 2 teams from the East and the same division out in the East, the Atlantic, in the Stanley Cup Final. So it's never going to happen again. You're never going to see it again. It was a historical playoffs.
Yeah, it was wild.
That would be a second-round matchup at best. Maybe, it's possible that could be an Eastern Conference Finals matchup if one's a wild card.
I would say second round at best.
But most likely you get that matchup in the second round or first round because that's how the Atlantic usually works. Unless a wild card team like this year's Panthers or the Kraken go crazy.
Oh, yeah, that was...
But even the Kraken didn't make it to the Western Conference Finals. So,
no.
Unless you get a situation where, Florida this year, it's not going to happen.
I feel like a situation like that happens every year, depending on the team.
Last year, it was Carolina Rangers, which was no wild cards, and Western Conference was Oilers, Colorado, also no wild cards. So, there's only 4 wild card teams in these playoffs, and
that's true.
But look, Florida's in the Cup final right now. Maybe
Florida as a state is just having, in terms of sports, a great year.
Yeah, no doubt about that. That goes without saying. But that was the first year that I was back watching the Panthers, and the next year they win the President's Trophy, fall short, and now here they are in the Cup final, win the whole thing. They're just going up every year, vertical, just going up. So, which means next year
improving each year,
or win the whole thing right now. They got 6 games left to prove. No, they have 5 games left to prove they can do it. They're gonna have to win 4 or 5, which is a task, especially against this Vegas team with Aiden Hill rolling. But anything is possible. So I feel like genuine teams I dislike and have a rivalry towards. Tampa is 1, 2, and 3. They're always going to be 1, 2, and 3. Boston isn't like that because, they're just the good team in the division. I don't think...
Boston's number 4 on my list.
Boston's number 4 on your list?
Yeah.
And so explain that one, then.
The Devils never played good against Boston, and I've just never liked Boston, to be honest. I don't like Marchand. I don't like Pasternak really that much. I respect him as a player. He's a great player. I respect him. But
why not Marchand?
Marchand's just I can't say, but Marchand's just I just never liked Marchand. He's a dirty player.
Brad Marchand is a dirty player, sponsored by the fact that you're listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. Breaking the ice, Connor Cupen and Matteo Macolino. Back to what you were saying about the Bruins. So that's your fourth. That's the 4th team on the list.
Yeah. Boston's just always rubbed me the wrong way.
Tampa being 1, 2, and 3. Carolina's definitely up there just because of the last couple years of, the Southeast. And, Toronto's got to be number 2, genuinely. Just because the Leafs fans are crybabies, 1.
Yeah.
And,
but when you have the history they do, you can't blame them.
No, it's the fans. No, not the ones that cry that their team's doing bad in the playoffs. It's the ones that make excuses.
Oh yeah, those are the worst.
The Leafs fans that be like, dude, so you guys just got lucky, Florida. Was I here when I read the editor and Leaf tweets? Were you here for that?
I don't think I was.
Let me
but,
just do that for you real quick so you understand what I'm talking about. There's this one guy on Twitter who runs a fan-sided page for the Leafs, right? And I can't tell if it's satire or not at this point because there's no way he believes himself. Like, I think he does. I think it is for real, but I cannot believe it's for real. The tweets that this man writes out and really posts to the internet. Let me read a few for you right here. Let me find a good one. So I'm just gonna. Oh, here's one. He says this was May 25th. If Florida wins the Stanley Cup, they will have defeated the first, second, fourth, and fifth best teams in the league, which seems incredible. He goes then to add on, but technically, it's much worse than just being the top seed and winning. So it's a weird thing to try and put in perspective if you think about it. This is a tweet that was said.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. What's he trying to?
He's saying it's better to be the top seed and win than be an underdog seed and upset all the top seeds. It's more impressive.
I mean, I guess, but like,
is it more impressive for Boston to win the championship if they had beaten Florida and then gone on to beat Toronto and then Carolina, or is it more impressive if Florida beats Boston, Toronto, Carolina, Vegas? What was more impressive? Which team did it? If Boston did it or Florida did it?
I mean, Florida, I guess, because they were the lower seed.
Exactly. And that's what this guy's trying to say it's not. He's trying to say it's more impressive if you're the top seed and just win, rather than being the underdog and beating
it would be
seeds.
impressive if you were winning by like 5 goals a game every game and you were the top seed.
It's still impressive, but it's not as impressive as being the team that's not supposed to win.
No way is that more impressive.
And that's what this guy was trying to say. Let's read some more Editor and Leaf.
What a name, by the way.
What?
What a name, by the way.
Oh,
Editor and Leaf.
So, this other guy, a completely different Leafs fan, says, this run by the Florida Panthers is historic. They might be the worst team to ever win the Stanley Cup. Different Leafs fan. But more specifically, he says, Florida was outplayed in 4 of the 5 games against Toronto, and outplayed by Boston in the majority of their games. They just got really lucky. He says copying the way their franchises run is a horrible idea.
Okay, well, I'm sure now that he looks that they're in the Stanley Cup Finals, I would hope he's thinking differently about that tweet. But I guess they were out. You can't really be outplayed, but then like still win every game. So I don't know exactly.
He also says the Panthers are a horrible example of how to run a team. They won the luckiest Game 7 in history, and then their goaltender went on a heater.
Yeah, this guy is... I don't know.
But I can't tell if it's a joke or not now, because like there's no dude like.
This sounds like a parody account, but yeah.
No, it sounds like it, but I think this guy's.
I wonder what his replies are. What his replies
they're
are
wild.
like.
They're wild. If I can find some more. Oh, he also said one thing was if you average out the contracts of John Tavares and Mark Giordano, they're not such bad deals.
Oh my God.
Let me see if I can find that one. Oh my God, that's the best one.
I think he's just trying to make himself feel better.
No, that's literally the best one. If I could find the Giordano and the dude. Oh, here it is. You might think John Tavares is overpaid, but if you average out the salaries of him and Mark Giordano, the Leafs have 2 Hall of Famers making just $6 million each. And then another Leafs fan comments underneath, that's not how anyone looks at that. Because, bro, no, but he's just this. That's why the Leafs are up there. Just their fans make it that way.
Yeah.
And they're the good team in the Atlantic Division as well. They're another good team in the division.
What did you see after they won? They were in the streets of Toronto. They're all chanting, "We want Florida."
Oh, that's
we want
of course.
Florida.
Every Cats fan saw that across every page of social media for like a week straight, and then oh God, I can't speak. With each Panthers win, it was just getting posted more and more. Especially when it was 3-0, it was just like, you sure about
Yeah.
that? If they had swept, oh my god. Dude, so that's one thing. Toronto hadn't won a second round game for 19 years. And when they was down 3-0, that still was true. So like everyone was hoping, please, can we get a sweep of the Leafs? And sadly, that did not come to fruition. The Leafs they're probably the most made fun of team in the league, I think.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Except now they're in the second round, though. Do teams from the East get made fun of more, I feel like? Because there's more hockey following over here?
The East is more paid attention to, I think, than the West, for sure.
Because there's more hockey fandom out here. Like
More hockey fandom, and, like, I feel like the West has a lot more to offer in terms of sports.
Teams in the West are not even in the West. Like, let's put it this way. The Blackhawks are in the West, right?
Yeah, but they're Chicago.
Illinois. Like,
It doesn't make sense.
In the NBA, the Bills are in the East. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like even the Tennessee is not like a Western state.
No.
It's on the left side of the Mississippi River maybe. So
Mm-hmm.
like, but aside from that, it's like, bro, the league is just so built over here, and
it's a lot more historic over here too.
Oh, yeah.
Like the original six were all like on the East.
Dude, why don't the Wild get made fun of like the Leafs? It's even worse. You want to hear Minnesota?
Well, they're like a newer team, I guess you can kind of argue. So
fair, but let me show you. Let me run down the Minnesota Wild. The Minnesota Wild playoffs over the past like 8 years have included 6 or 7 first-round exits.
yeah,
They have.
the Wild have not been too successful in the playoffs.
I'm looking at the Minnesota Wild playoff history real quick, because they're legitimately Western Conference Toronto Maple Leafs. Swear to God. So, oh my God, come on. The Wild, this year, lost in the first round. In 2022, they lost in the first round. In 2021, they lost in the first round. In 2020, they lost in the qualifying round, so not even the first round.
Not even the first.
2019, they missed the playoffs. 2018, they lost in the first round. 2017, they lost in the first round. And 2016, they lost in the first round.
Yeah, that's a lot of first round exits.
It is quite literally 7 in 8 years. And if you want to count that qualifying round, which was the first round, they won no rounds of that playoffs. So they lost in the first round of the 2020 playoffs. And the one year they didn't, they missed the playoffs. That's like worse.
It's worse, but Toronto's just been so much more of a joke. That's why they continue to be a joke.
Series, so now it's gonna end.
Now I don't think it'll end, but it's gonna die down.
It's like the Wild should be. That's the next.
Like if Toronto makes it next season and they're a first round exit, I think it'll be like everyone's gonna be like, oh, same old Toronto. Like
it's literally gonna come right back.
Can't escape.
Oh my God. But yeah, the top 2 teams I dislike, I would have to say. Definitely those. It's those. Those are the top 3. Canes, the 3 teams. No, not the 3 they played. Not the 3 they played in the playoffs this year, but the Lightning, the Leafs, and the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes aren't even in the same division, but they're just that team.
I respect
from
that list.
Metro.
Yeah.
Like the Devils. I mean, I guess if you want to talk about them going after Nico Hischier. That could start, but there's no history between those teams. Like in that division, you think the Panthers are going to have a rivalry with Ottawa, Montreal?
The first game I ever went to, the first hockey game of my life, was actually the Devils-Panthers game.
I believe it's the same for myself. The first NHL game I ever went to was also Devils-Panthers.
Crazy if it was the same game. Imagine.
Nah, it was 1 year ago for me.
Oh, okay.
Like
yeah,
last season.
Mine was a while ago. I'm trying to remember the year, but
we have spent a long time talking about why certain teams are hated, why certain teams are loved. So we're going to route things back to the NHL news in this league thus far. So there have been a lot of front office signings here after Kyle Dubas. There's a couple more. We talk about the Kane injury, and I want to talk about another interesting one here. So the exclusive NHL draft sites of the signing rights for 49 players had expired 6 days ago. So players that are 20 years older or younger are eligible to re-enter the draft. Everyone else is an unrestricted free agent. So 49 draft rights for players expired. Some of them are going back. Some of them are free agents. So that's going to be really interesting to check out where these players end up, as, there's still a lot that can go on. And Kyle Dubas back to there. He made a few firings already, all within Pittsburgh.
That happens a lot usually when there's a new GM.
Yeah, because they were all Ron Hextall hires.
Yeah.
And now in the world of Columbus, I believe they have their new head coach, Mike Babcock, the new head coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets. How do you feel about this one, sir?
I think it's a good move.
So Babcock, it might not be announced until his contract with the Leafs is officially expired. And he's 60, and he has 700 wins as an NHL head coach. Majority of them came because he was 9 years as the head coach of the Red Wings. They won the Stanley Cup in 2008, so he's a Stanley Cup champion head coach. They've been to the Cup final 3 times with him. One time he did it with Anaheim. So he's done 3 times, 2 with Detroit, once with Anaheim. He won 49 games in a season during his 4+ years with Toronto, but he was fired in 2019 and has received criticism for his coaching style at times. And the Blue Jackets are turning to him after 2 seasons under Brad Larson because that did not work out so well at all.
It's just going to take time. Like every time a new coach comes in and it's like for like the worst team in the league, obviously you're not going to see success right away.
You got Johnny Gaudreau. You got Johnny.
Oh yeah, Johnny Hockey. But
do you believe he went to the winning hockey team?
No, yeah. Sarcastically, yes. No, of course not.
Which is the winning hockey team, huh?
I mean, what do you think?
What if he turns them into the winning hockey team now? What if this is the move that gets them over the hump?
It won't happen next season, but it's a possibility. Maybe in a few years.
I see what you're saying. But now with this hiring, where do they finish in the Metro next year?
Oh, I still think bottom 2. It'll be a fight again between them and Philly.
Bottom 2 between Philly and Columbus. What does Columbus have to do to win an NHL championship? What do they have to win to win the Stanley Cup in the next 3 seasons?
They don't have enough money to do that.
Okay. So they just can't?
Yeah, I don't think so. No.
Is there anything they can do?
I mean, with the team they have now, no. If they were to make a few signings and have a decent draft, then it's possible, yes.
Okay. So now...
I mean, Provorov is a good start, I think.
That's a great trade we can get into right now. What a transition there. 3-team trade coming up. Ivan Provorov headed to the Columbus Blue Jackets in a 3-team trade from the Philadelphia Flyers. A first-round pick, Calvin Peterson, Sean Walker to Philadelphia, and a portion of Provorov's deal is going to the Kings. First off, I'm going to give you... What are your thoughts on this one here?
It was a very good move by Columbus, I think. He's a great defenseman. It kind of confused me just the way, like, any, like, 3-way trade always confuses me when I'm trying to read it. But I think it was smart by them to pick him up or trade for him.
So this trade could also include some prospects once the trade is made official. He spent his entire 7-year career with the Flyers, playing 82 games 4 different times. So he's an Iron Man. He'll get out there on the ice.
Yep.
And the full 56 games if you count the 2021 season. So he's played 5 full seasons in this league. He's posted 27 points, this past season. Set a career high 17 goals back in 2018, and he's locked in through 2025 at around $6.75 million a year. But the Blue Jackets will be on the hook for only 70% of that deal, because 30% of that, I believe, is in LA.
In LA, yeah.
So good move for them. You gotta start somewhere. Every team has the rise to the top. And
With
they gotta start somewhere.
Exactly.
So now moving on. I believe there's 2 more big ones here. We got a contract extension. Montreal, Cole Caulfield has signed an 8-year, $62.8 million contract.
Hey, yo!
Too early or not?
I don't think so. I think it was appropriate to offer him that.
15th overall pick back in 2019. And he's clearly a prized, star-studded prospect for these Canadians. 12 points during their run to the Stanley Cup Final, which he went ballistic on the ice. 43 points in his first full season. Was only limited to 46 games, though. 43 points in 46 games is some quality production. He had 26 goals, finished the year with 36 points last season, and they're able to lock him up. A restricted free agent. He's going to be... How old will he be by then? I don't even know.
How long was the...
2031 is when it's over.
Okay, so that's what, 8 years?
It's an 8-year deal, yeah.
So he'll be 30.
He's 22 right now?
Yeah.
Oh, man, okay. So, yeah, hockey players are young, man. It's crazy.
I mean, the Devils did that with Hughes, his second year of his career.
Smart man. Smart idea there, huh?
Oh, yeah.
What a smart choice. Lock him up while you can before he demands $11 million a season like Pasternak. One last here now. The Anaheim Ducks have made a signing in the front office. Greg Cronin, the next head coach of the Anaheim Ducks. 60 years old, a first-time NHL coach. How do you feel about that one, Matteo? A first-time head coach in the NHL. Scary thought.
It's
nice thing to see.
It's always a little scary because you don't know how they're going to pan out. A lot of first-time head coaches do get a little bit of success, and a lot of times they crash and burn. So it's kind of just a 50-50 shot, I think.
So,
I mean, his resume probably shows that he's capable, but...
Well, I'm about to get into that right now. So he's actually done some time. So he spent a combined 12 seasons as an NHL assistant. Most recently, 4 years with the Islanders. But he's been a head coach at Northeastern, so at the college level. He was there for, I believe, 7 years, or 6 years. 6 years as the head coach of Northeastern. And he's also been a head coach in the AHL twice. He was the Colorado Eagles coach in the AHL since 2018. That was the most recent thing he did. And he did an interview for the Bruins head coaching job last year, ultimately not getting it. But he takes over for Dallas Eakins, and he gets the chance to lead a Ducks team with some real young talent on their team, but there's still a lot of work because they've missed the playoffs for 5 straight years now. So now you got the head coach. I believe you got top 3 pick in the draft? Number 2?
Yeah, I think they're number 2.
What can Anaheim do real quick to get back into the fold of competing?
Well, I mean, there's the draft, obviously. They're not going to get Bedard, but number 2 still a great pick. That's essentially
number 1 in another year.
Number 1, yeah. But I mean, they still have like a pretty young team. Like, obviously, you got Zegras there. Henrique's getting old, but he's still a decent player, I think. He spent 4 years with the Islanders, you said, the past 4 years?
Not the past 4, but he had a 4-year stint as an Islanders assistant.
Okay, I mean, recently the Islanders have had some success, I think. They've made the playoffs. But yeah, I think... What do you think?
No, I think some of these hires are the most underrated ones. The guy who has never had a head coaching job, because you don't know.
Exactly,
it could be the next great thing. Think about it. Every great coach didn't start as a great coach. Every great coach had their first year at some point. It could be the next one. You never know until you try it. You have to find out the hard way. Like, you could do the route of hiring guys that have the experience, but eventually you're going to run out of guys with experience. You've got to give new guys hires. It happens. And this is one shot like that. This guy has coached for 12 years as an NHL assistant, been the head coach in college and the AHL. Here's his shot now with the Ducks.
Yep.
And they get pretty much pick 1A. Because if it's not... Pick 1B. Pick 1B, my mistake.
They're not getting Bedard.
Is something special. The number 2 pick in this draft is probably a number 1 pick in like a bunch of other drafts. You know what I mean? But they just quite literally have a phenom at the top blocking the path.
You know you're not getting him, but then that leaves everyone else wide open.
But to be 100% fair, we thought Shane Wright was going number 1 for the longest time as well. Then he slips to 4. But Connor Bedard seems like another level of prospect compared to Shane Wright. To be
It
honest.
also depends, I think, the team's needs.
And I think no matter what the team is needing, though, Connor Bedard will be the first.
Well, of course, that's like a separate case.
Yeah.
But like Shane Wright, I think the reason he dropped is because maybe I forgot who had the first pick that year.
That was Slavkovsky, Montreal.
Yeah, Montreal. Like maybe they didn't need a Shane Wright, so that's why they didn't.
Did the Devils need Simone Nemes?
I mean, did you see our defense last year?
You tell me. Tell me.
I think they did, yeah, and he did great in the AHL this year. I'm excited to see when he comes up to the NHL.
When is he making it to the NHL?
He's
calling the shot.
I'll say, I don't want to say next season. I say maybe if we have a decent amount of injuries like we did towards the end of the season this year. Luke Hughes, I mean, he was the one that was called up, and he did pretty great for the situation he was thrown into.
Quinn's brother, boys.
Jack's brother, too. But
I went to a Devils game. I went to a Devils-Panthers game.
Okay.
And at the game, I make a joke. Because I know Jack Hughes and Quinn Hughes are related.
Yeah.
I just go look at Daniel. I'm like, yo, Daniel, is that Quinn's brother right there? And this guy thinks I'm dead serious, bro. Looks over at me and is like, yeah, it is. It was so funny because it's like, bro, this guy definitely thinks he definitely thought I was like some stupid kid there at the game that day.
Like first like NHL game, like never paid attention to anything
like,
before.
Dude, like nobody knows Quinn Hughes before. Does anyone besides, unless you're a Nucks fan, do you know Quinn Hughes first?
Nowadays, no. I think even leading up to the draft of Jack Hughes, maybe not.
Like he's the most popular Hughes brother.
Yeah.
Especially in this area.
Oh,
I don't think anyone is saying, is that Quinn's brother?
There's been so many, like, ploys, like, fights for Quinn to now come to Jersey, just so we have all three.
Oh, God, yeah, bro. I mean, that would complete the team.
Yeah.
But how would you even
Triple
pull that
Hughes
off?
threat.
How would you even pull that one off, though? Tell me, what would it take to get Quinn Hughes to the Jersey Devils?
A lot. Especially because of how good he was
How
this
much
year.
is a lot?
I mean, for starters, you probably have to give up a player like Pratt. And they're already trying to extend him, so that probably won't happen.
What would you give up?
What would I give up?
What would you give up realistically, though? Not like just like your fantasy trade of, oh, yeah, we'll give you, here's Jesper Bogfist straight up. You know what I'm saying?
Gosh.
What would you be willing to part with for Quinn Hughes to be a New Jersey Devil?
Everyone I'm willing to part with is not good enough to get a Quinn Hughes. I mean, defensively...
what would you not be willing to part with that you think it would have to take?
Defensively, you can't give up Dougie, even though that may be what it would take. I would say maybe...
And why can't you give him up? Why can't you give up Dougie for Quinn Hughes?
Because he's too valuable.
But what would be more valuable? Out of the
I'd
two?
say prospects, maybe. We have a lot of defensive prospects.
Okay. So is Dougie more valuable than Quinn Hughes?
Right now, I think so, yes.
Ooh, okay. So that's an interesting analogy there.
I mean, he's older, yeah. But yeah, I think the points he put up, I know, like, as a defenseman, you don't really want more points than if he's just a good defenseman. Well, goals, at least.
It depends. It depends on, like, the situation. Like, Erik Karlsson just put up 100.
Yeah, like, that's insane.
So it depends. But I hear what you're saying.
I think, yeah, it would have to be some, like, defensive prospects, like a Nemec, or, ironically enough, like a Luke Hughes. But,
Luke for Quinn.
And then someone like Jesper Bratt.
Okay.
Even maybe Timo Meyer, even though we just got him, but we haven't extended him
you can't even
yet.
trade him, though, right?
I don't think so.
No, he's a free agent.
Yeah.
Resign or not resign?
I want to resign him. I just don't know if we can resign both him and Jesper Bratt.
Oh, so which one? Which one do you choose?
I prefer Bratt.
Okay.
But that's just because I've gotten a little emotionally attached.
No, of course. Always you got to roll with the guy that's a devil. Timo
Yeah.
Meyer is not a New Jersey Devil.
No.
He just got there. He's got to earn that title. He's a Shark,
Exactly.
though. But, like, you could...
He didn't do a great job, I think, earning that, especially when we first got him. And then in the playoffs, he wasn't the best. But then again, neither were a lot of our best offensive players in the playoffs.
I hear what you're saying. So now, we're going to move over to one more little mini signing here. So a 2-year contract from the LA Kings. Vlad Gavrikov has re-signed with LA to a 2-year. If I do the math correctly, it's it's around $11.7 million for the 2 years. It's five and seven. Okay, the exact number, if you want to do it in a fraction, 5 7/8 of $1 million per season. That's the exact number. 5.875.
I can't do that math to know exactly what the number is.
It's right between a quarter and four. It's right between 3 quarters and 4 quarters. Directly in between that.
Okay.
It's 7/8 of $1 million. 5 7/8 of $1 million per season. This is a good re-sign for LA, but it obviously a re-sign isn't going to change your team. LA has lost to Edmonton the past years in the playoffs. Mateo, what do you think is going to take out of that team to get over the hump in that division? That division has some quality squads. You saw Seattle come out of the whole thing, or almost come out of the whole thing, but they lost to Dallas there. You see Vegas in that division right now in the Cup final. You see Edmonton still having the two-headed monster of the 2 best players in the league. What is it going to take LA to compete with those squads?
I mean, I think they did a pretty good job competing this year. So, I guess just staying consistent.
But even winning one playoff series, I mean.
There's
got to be a way. If Florida
yeah.
can make it out the Atlantic as the 4 seed in that division, anything's possible.
I mean, every team is just always more firepower, better offense. That's always the base answer. But I don't know, maybe their defense, they can improve a little.
I mean, this certainly helps this signing right here, especially with the re-sign.
Sure.
It's a 2-year deal. It's probably in their window of competing. And I believe there is one more thing that I wanted to get into, unless that's everything on the NHL. That's probably everything I had there for now, because there's not too much going on here. We got the trades covered. We got everything covered. So now we're going to take another quick break here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. When we come back, we're talking about the Stanley Cup Finals and how this series can end up and what it means for both franchises. So stay tuned, everybody, for that. We are back here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. This is Breaking the Ice. Connor Cupen alongside Matteo Macolino yet again putting his mic back on right now. We're talking about the Stanley Cup Final. We got 27 minutes left. Stanley Cup Final talk. Matteo, I have one question only. Which team is winning the Cup Final, and in how many games?
Panthers in 7.
Oh, Cats in 7. Interesting take, and I've given my take on why already. This week, last week, I want your take on why.
I just like that. I think they're the better team. Vegas, I mean, the Edmonton series didn't really convince me that much, especially because, yes, they were scoring like 5-6 goals a game. They're also giving up 5-6 goals a game. Aiden Hill, yes, he's been unbelievable these last 2 games for Vegas. But I don't know. I think Florida, they're beaten down now. They're down 2 games, and they were 2. I mean, the first game wasn't as bad, but obviously the last game was pretty bad loss. Now that they're going to be home, I think they're going to kind of get their motivation back up. I think this is kind of when they go on a tear, win 2 games in a row, maybe lose game 5, but then win the next 2. That's my prediction.
2. I think it could totally be. I mean, going down 2-0 is never an easy thing to deal with, especially but now at least you're back home. But they didn't get nothing done in Vegas. So now they're going to have to get it done at home, and you better hope and pray. Who would you say is each team's X Factor player.
X Factor, obviously, for the Cats, Kachuk, I think. And then Vegas, Aiden Hill.
Interesting. So that one-on-one little matchup there with the goaltender. I feel like for Florida, the X Factor. See, Kachuk is more of the main factor.
I like my sleeper. I would say is Oh my God, why am I blanking on his name right now?
What's his number?
10.
Duclair?
Yeah, Duclair. I was about to say Sinclair. That's why.
Sinclair.
No, yeah, of course,
oh
Duclair.
God. No, but yeah, Duclair.
I really like Duclair.
Duclair's had this is the year with the Achilles injury, so he wasn't playing for most of the season. Came back, and now they're making moves. Here they are. He's had a good playoffs, a solid playoffs, but like Alexander Barkov has to get more. He has to run the offense. That's the captain. That's the man who's run the team for years. He's on the top line centerman. He's got to run the quarterback of the whole team. He's got to do it. And got to score on their power plays. Defensively, they also got to get Montour going when it comes to his offensive production. If that ends up becoming the case, the defense lays down the body pretty well. Get Ekblad going back to his superstar status, but Bobrovsky has to stop pucks. The X factors on this team are certainly going to come down to guys like Sergei Bobrovsky himself. And if you want to roll to the offensive side of things, I feel like a good X factor type of guy is not Matthew Tkachuk, because he's the main guy, but Carter Verhaeghe was a huge X factor.
Verhaeghe's been pretty good
on the team in the regular season. Barkov has to pull up. Reinhart, Sam Bennett, even. Everyone's got to play. Everyone's got to come to play hockey. And for Vegas, like, Marchessault has been unreal. Mark Stone. X Factors are on that team. Guys like Riley Smith and Aiden Hill's been huge. Huge, huge player for them. But it could totally be Cats in 6, Cats in 7. Vegas even in 4. Vegas even in 5.
Vegas in 4.
What does this mean for the league, and how will fans react if Vegas wins the Stanley Cup final?
I don't think anyone outside of Vegas really wants Vegas to win. It's just the fact.
Do you think Lightning fans want Vegas to win?
Yeah, maybe.
I think
Lightning fans, but like that's
it. Do you
it.
think Leafs fans and like Carolina fans want Vegas to win, or no?
Carolina might still be a little upset after the last series, but I think I don't know. I just see it. The nation as a whole, or like hockey fans as a whole, aren't too happy seeing Vegas just be so successful after just being an expansion team a few years ago.
I remember that first season, man. They went to the Stanley Cup final. Vegas in their 6 years. Let's recap. Stanley Cup final the first year. They were a team, right?
Yep.
First round exit their second year. Western Conference Finals their third year. Western Conference Finals their fourth year. Missed the playoffs their fifth year, and it was the greatest year in the history of the National Hockey League.
And now
they finally got to experience what that's like, and now they're 2 wins away from winning the Stanley Cup. Don't need that in my life.
And it's not like who do you think like Vegas? Obviously, Vegas has fans, but like they were a team. They weren't even a team 6 years ago. Who do you think people from Vegas like rooted for?
Before they existed?
Yeah.
Okay. The Kings.
Maybe
definitely
Colorado.
Teams. Definitely Cali teams. Definitely probably Colorado, because it's all in the middle there. Maybe the Coyotes.
Maybe, yeah.
Let's just look at a map of the United States of America here. So if you're looking at America, Nevada is right in between. And Vegas specifically is at the very bottom of Nevada.
So I think like maybe Colorado.
So not Colorado because they're 2 states away, but Arizona's right there. Phoenix is pretty close, and LA is pretty close. So I'd say they probably had Yotes fans, probably had Kings fans if I'm being real.
Yeah.
California teams.
Probably
where most of that fan base resides, but once you get your own team, it's like hooray. Like even Kraken fans.
Maybe Ducks.
They probably were Canucks fans, right?
Who? Oh, yeah.
Kraken fans are probably nuts.
Krakens, yeah, probably.
Because Vancouver is just literally Canada's Seattle.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just Seattle 2.0. It's like how Camden is Philly 2.0.
That's why, like, when I saw Seattle was getting a team, I was just like, oh, I guess. But, like, yeah, Vancouver was, like, right there.
Listen, man, it's kind of that should be a rivalry, Vancouver, Seattle.
I'm sure give it a few years, it will be.
The cross-border rivalry.
Yeah. Something like that.
I love how the NHL has their league set up, like their divisions make for good rivalries. But I had a thought. What if the NHL had 8 4-team divisions instead of 4 8-team divisions?
It's like the NFL.
Just like the NFL.
I personally like that more because that creates such bigger and closer rivalries.
Here's what I think those rivalries would look like. So, there would be 8 divisions, 4 teams each, right?
Right.
Hear me out. On this one, the first one, it's the easiest one on the map to me. The Northwest Division. So you have the Alberta teams, Calgary and Edmonton, with Vancouver and Seattle right there. That's just like...
That makes sense.
Boom.
Yeah.
This is where it gets difficult. What do you do with the 5 teams in the Pacific? You got to put Anaheim, Kings, Sharks together. That's 3 Cali teams.
If we're going based on location, yes. Unless you want to just put all the California teams together.
Those 3, yeah.
Those 3, and then...
Vegas or Arizona? The Yotes?
I think
genuinely Vegas.
I was going to say Arizona. But considering the fact that they
are moving
then yeah,
going somewhere
Vegas
else
is the better answer there.
So now that leaves you with this. If that's the case, right? Arizona joins up with these 2 teams. Colorado and Dallas. And then it would have to be St. Louis. Colorado, Dallas, St. Louis.
That makes sense.
Would be like the Midwest division. Now, moving over a little bit, the Southeast, right? Fully Florida, Tampa Bay, Carolina, and then the Nashville Predators. Tennessee is right next to Carolina.
Yeah,
so that'd be
that one's pretty easy.
Division. So that is 4 divisions thus far. 4 divisions left. This is not as easy as it looks now because now
the Metro is very easy.
It's so clustered though. If it's very easy, tell me which 4 teams.
Hold on.
Which 3 teams would be with the Devils? I'm assuming the Islanders and the Rangers.
Islanders, Rangers,
Devils, and
you have to go. I think Philly. I'm trying to think. Yeah, Philly's probably closer than where either Buffalo or Washington would be the other 2 options, but I think Philly's closer.
Okay. So if that's one, I think another easy answer is there's like a North. So you do the North Division, right? Here's how I feel about this one. Winnipeg, because they're right there in Ontario. They're not in Ontario. Where's Winnipeg? What's the province right next to Saskatchewan and Ontario? It's between those 2.
The province?
It's
Manitoba.
Manitoba, right? That's where Winnipeg is, and it's pretty much like right above Minnesota.
Yes.
So, Winnipeg, Wild, Chicago, and Detroit.
Okay.
Because like those 4 up there up north.
Right.
So now we got 3 divisions left. Who makes up those divisions?
This is where it gets tough with the North.
I feel like Columbus, Pittsburgh, and put Philly in there. The Pennsylvania area with Columbus and Washington.
And then Washington, okay.
So now...
So then would you put... But now it gets tricky. So would you put Boston...
With the Canada teams?
I was going to say Boston with the New York, New Jersey teams.
And Buffalo with the Canada teams?
And then Buffalo with Toronto,
I think
Ottawa,
that's a good idea.
Montreal.
Because look, Boston Massachusetts ain't so far, and they can play with the Devils, Rangers, Islanders.
Yeah, it's easy.
And the three Canadas.
Yep.
And Toronto is Buffalo is just America's Toronto, and Toronto's America's
they're
Buffalo.
right. They're right. Yeah.
So that's an easy What if the NHL looked like that? What if that's how it looked?
I wouldn't be. I mean, it's just I feel like it would make it more convenient on all the teams.
Now, the divisions they have now are still cool looking. You know what I mean?
They make sense, yeah.
It's still good the way they are now. But I feel like there's still a point to be said about, Boston. Yeah, Philly can go. Philly is right there with Jersey. It's like they're all so close. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
there's no other option.
I get what you're saying. Like they're all clustered, so you don't know where.
Buffalo definitely with Toronto and the two other Canada teams, and from there it just becomes. Yeah, it's just the unfortunate geography of how the NHL is laid out. There's just so many teams out east.
Yeah.
But the NHL divisions, how they are now. The Western divisions, where it's it all makes sense to me. The West completely makes sense with Seattle, Vancouver. I believe the Pacific is Seattle, Vancouver. You have Calgary and Edmonton, and then, Vegas, Ducks, Sharks, Kings. Central, Arizona used to be a Pacific team, but with Seattle getting added, they got booted to the Central, which is unfortunate for them because Arizona's definitely Pacific area. You know what I mean? But they're with Colorado, Dallas, St. Louis. So that all those rivalries that Arizona might have had before just gone now. They're gone because they're competing with completely new teams. And out west, it's also Nashville, Chicago, Minnesota, Winnipeg. So that all makes sense. Out east, though, the Metro, the Atlantic Division is completely the three Canadas, Buffalo, Boston, and then the two teams down in Florida.
Yeah. And
the Detroit Red Wings. Whereas the Metro, I feel like the Metro could totally pick up the Bruins.
100%. I don't think the Metro needs Columbus or Carolina.
Why can't Carolina play with Toronto, Tampa, and Florida?
Exactly. Yeah, it would make way more sense.
They'd make better rivalries, I feel.
That's why when they switched them during the COVID season,
it was cool.
That made total sense.
It was cool, bro. Yeah, when they had Tampa, it was that division of Chicago, Columbus, Detroit, Nashville, Florida, Dallas, Florida, Tampa.
Yeah.
It was a cool division for a little bit there, honestly, and I would love to see that change. If anything be made, forget the 8-team divisions, but Carolina playing with Tampa and Florida for divisional spots would be sick. That would be sick.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate just Tennessee is right there too, but there's just no teams out east, so you have to stay like that. No teams out west, I mean. So we'd have to stay like that. But I'd love to see that happen. And Columbus, it's really hard. I feel like the Canadas and the Buffalo, but they could totally, we could definitely make a trade here. Boston can get traded to the Metro for Carolina.
Oh, 100%.
Or even if it's not Boston,
Columbus and maybe
Columbus is already there though. So who else would we can't trade Toronto. I mean, I guess Boston's the only.
Boston, maybe
Boston's
Buffalo.
The only tradable one there, or Detroit, I guess.
Buffalo was in.
I love how Detroit's in a division called the Atlantic, but they're nowhere near the Atlantic Ocean, bro. They're by the Great Lakes.
I think it's because Carolina probably is in the Metro because they used to be Hartford. So they just never moved. They were Connecticut, the Hartford Whalers.
That makes 100% sense if that's the case. Yeah, because Carolina's right. That literally makes perfect sense, bro.
I don't know how in the Atlantic I'm trying to remember if anyone moved, and that's why rebranded themselves.
There's just so many teams out in the Northeast specifically. There are quite literally 13 NHL teams up there.
That's why Arizona, people are trying to petition for them to move to Connecticut But I'm like, there's already so many
They had to
teams.
stay out west to keep the balance.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Chicago's already in the west
Yeah.
just to keep the balance.
So they
Dude, were you here when we talked about where we're gonna send Arizona?
no.
Where would you like to see them play? I think Utah would be a
If
cool place.
I was just about to say Utah could use a hockey team, I think.
They have one sports team. They could use two.
Yeah.
What about like?
Maybe. Well, now that they're Seattle, I was gonna say maybe Seattle, but
What about a Houston team?
Houston. I mean, I could see it. I just don't know because like hockey to begin with probably isn't that popular in
They have
Texas
Dallas.
besides Dallas. But maybe yeah, by adding a second Texan team, it'll
A
grow the sport.
Milwaukee team.
Milwaukee, I don't know about Milwaukee. Maybe Green Bay. I mean, that's essentially the same.
Another big one though. Another hockey team couldn't hurt in Canada. Saskatchewan, right there. Am I wrong about
Now,
that?
if they were to add another hockey team in Canada, you think they would just make one Canadian division? Because wouldn't that be like
Nah, they wouldn't.
7 or 8?
There's no reason for that because the Canada's so big. Some are spread all east. All
Yeah,
west, so
that's
what's the
true.
way it is. But like Saskatchewan, isn't that literally right there? Saskatchewan is in between Manitoba and Alberta. That's a perfect spot for an NHL team. They got pro lacrosse teams out there. They got CFL teams out there. Give them a hockey team.
I think there's just not any more like major cities in Canada, so that's why they don't want to add another one besides like Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan's a whole province there, or even British Columbia. You could have a BC team. Throw a team over there
All
in
right.
BC. Vancouver's in BC. Just give them another one. Maybe it's not a major city. And
Maybe Quebec. Add another team to Quebec again.
I see, because Quebec has Montreal. Is Ottawa part of Ontario or Quebec? Ottawa's literally part.
It's like on the
It's
border.
on the border of
Yeah.
both, but it's part of Ontario. Okay. All the major cities in those parts of Canada. Throw a Halifax team in there, man.
No, but yeah, like Salt Lake City.
Or Salt Lake City, Utah is a great idea for an NHL team. But aside from that, we could definitely get Carolina down there, and divisions would be great. NHL rivalries are still great, and I love how the playoffs are set up. I think the playoffs are set up great, where you have to make it out the division first before you make it out the conference, then you make it to the Stanley Cup final. 8 minutes left here on Breaking the Ice, and we're talking about geography. We've gone through everything.
We've gone through a lot.
We've gone through a lot, man. But it's cats and six on a real note. It's cats and six on a real note. They're winning 4 straight. Who's your Conn Smythe pick thus far, though? If you had to pick one from each team,
Oh God, one from each team.
Matthew Tkachuk.
All right.
If we're talking Florida,
Florida
and
Tkachuk.
if you're talking Vegas, Aiden Hill has been great. But has he been their goaltender the whole playoffs?
I don't think so.
Let me
I'm
check
trying
that
to-
out. Because that makes the difference right? Because Eichel's a pick.
Yeah.
Aiden Hill has played both their games against Florida. He played all 6 against Dallas. He played 5 against Edmonton, so he did not play the Jets series.
Okay.
That's
But
enough games, though.
he's
to me.
been majority, yeah.
And he's played great in the playoffs. I think he would genuinely be my Conn Smythe pick for them.
I agree.
Unless Jack Eichel has something to say about that. Because it's not like Eichel's been bad. You can't say that.
That one
great.
save that Aiden Hill had might win
Oh,
him.
okay. Who's your Conn Smythe for both squads?
Tkachuk, definitely. And Hill. Those would be my picks.
Not a bad idea. Especially with how things have gone thus far.
If the Cats win, would you go down to Florida to the parade?
If the air's like this up here, yes. Any excuse. Yeah, I'll go down to the parade. Let's do it. I have family down there, so it'd be easy. Wouldn't be too hard. Sunrise is in Fort Lauderdale. You know how far that is from where my grandparents live? Yo, let's do some geography.
More geography.
So,
Breaking the Ice geography edition.
dude, let's see how far they are to Sunrise, which is I'm assuming that's where the parade would be, because Sunrise, they're a solid hour and a half. It's an hour and a half ride to the Cats.
That's not too bad.
It's not too bad at all. It's like
Spend the day there. See the
I have
parade.
family friends down in Miami too. You want to know how close Miami is to Sunrise?
That's got to be like
1 hour.
yeah.
With traffic though, so it's only 32 miles. If there's no traffic, it's 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So like,
But it's Miami, so you're gonna hit
of
traffic.
course, it can happen, yeah. But like, it's not that bad. If Fort Lauderdale, if I fly in Fort Lauderdale, and just stay in Fort Lauderdale, it is quite literally 11 miles from Sunrise.
Oh my god.
So like, I could fly right into Fort Lauderdale and just go west, and I'm there. I'm right there by Sunrise. And the Sawgrass Mills Mall. That's like a right by. Let me look up where FLA Live Arena is. Yeah, that's 20. It's right by Sawgrass Mills Mall, which is like a really famous mall in Florida. It's right outside of it.
Gotcha.
It's right where the Cats play. And it's right next to that part of Florida is with all the cities and stuff. It's right next to like a giant, the Everglades Wildlife Management Area.
Really?
Which is just where nothing goes on for miles. Just grass. Just the woods. Just the woods forever. And it's like right, Sunrise is like, where the Cats play is right by the woods. It's just a highway, and the other side of the highway is just a river
All
and
the
woods.
woods.
And it's woods for like,
I heard the Everglades are nice though.
it's woods for, so when you're driving on like Route 75, it's just woods on the left, woods on the right, and then you just hit South Florida.
South Florida.
Yeah.
All the city.
You hit South, the entire right strip of South Florida is like, yeah, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, Boca Raton, all that, all on the right side. Other side, the rest of South Florida is just woods. Woods and one road. Route 41 and stuff like that. Everglades National Park, it's just city and then trees. And then on the other side is where Fort Myers is with Cape Coral and stuff like that.
That's why you got everything in Florida. Except cold weather.
Except cold weather and snow. But we got 3 minutes left here on this beautiful show. We're going all the way to the end because why would we end early? There's no reason to do such things. So now, Matteo, I'm going to ask you one great question to end the show. What will it take the New Jersey Devils to win the Stanley Cup Final next season? Next year.
Well, after the end of this season, or postseason, I should say, we have some questions in goaltending. So, got to get that figured out, like, right away. Do we keep Vanacek? I personally would love to keep Vanacek. You can't not start him or give him away after you had 30 wins in the regular season. The only other goaltender to do that was Brodeur. Schmid obviously was amazing in the playoffs.
Who's the new starting goaltender, the number one?
I think they keep Vanacek as the starter, but it should be no-brainer that Schmid backs up and Blackwood gets the boot.
Okay.
Other than that, our defense was still kind of shaky. We did make some good signings on defense, I think, or some good moves on defense, but it was still a little shaky. So I don't know what to do to win it all next year. I say give us 2 years.
All right, so now let's say there's 2 years. What does it take in 2 years?
2 years. Resign Bratt, I think. If you can manage, keep Meyer. If Heischer can perform a little better in the playoffs, that's the one thing. Obviously, we weren't the most experienced playoff team. We had maybe 5 players that have playoff experience. So, yeah, it's just going to take a little more time to get playoff experience. And I think that's why maybe 2 years they can get it done.
New Jersey Devils 2025 Stanley Cup champions, guys. He's booking it now. How much money would you put down on that? How much?
How much money?
Would you put down on that claim?
No, I'm not too much of a gambling man, but I'd put down maybe 100.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that's definitely not confident numbers right there.
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, 30 seconds left. You have listened to Breaking the Ice here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. Connor Cupen alongside Matteo Macolino for episode 29 of this beautiful show. Episode 30 coming next week. I can't believe it's been 30 weeks coming next week where I get up here and I talk about grown men shoving a piece of rubber on some ice in between some netting for 2 hours straight.
Nothing better.
Nothing better to do with your Wednesday afternoons. And we're going to go outside now. You've been listening to us here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. And try to take a nice breath of air, which, let's see what color it is outside. What color do you think it is right now?
I think it's still going to be like orange. A little hazy.
When I came in this morning, it was white. When I went for lunch today, it was yellow. I have no clue what it's going to look like right now.
I say orange. That's
All
my
right.
guess.
I'm gonna go with orange as well. Everyone, have a great day. And you're going to get some more content here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. So join us back next week. And by then, hopefully the Panthers will have taken a series lead on the Vegas Golden Knights. Peace.